The day I saw my ex-business partner again after 23 years, he was standing on a stage accepting an award for Humanitarian of the Year. There he was, Richard Caldwell, silver at the temples, polished smile, and that same steady confidence that used to make investors write checks without reading the fine print. The same confidence that cost me my company, my home, and my wife. He stood in the spotlight, preaching about ethics, legacy, and integrity, while people applauded like he'd cured cancer. I sat in the last row, an old man in a gray suit that didn't quite fit anymore, watching the man who destroyed my life hold a trophy shaped like the world. The irony? I already owned the world he was standing on. The documents in my briefcase, quiet, unassuming papers notarized 2 weeks ago, made me the legal owner of his company headquarters, the building hosting this self-congratulatory circus. His empire had been bleeding money for years. I'd just bought the land underneath it. He smiled for the cameras, unaware that the stage lights were shining on property that now belonged to me. I remember thinking, as his voice echoed through the ballroom, that justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it walks in on bad knees, sits in the back row, and waits for the perfect moment to stand up. And tonight, I intended to stand. A waiter brushed past me with a tray of champagne. Across the aisle, a row of donors rose to their feet for a standing ovation. It sounded like rain on a tin roof, loud, hollow, endless. Then I heard my name, spoken too young. Dad. Mark stood at the aisle in a tuxedo with a foundation pin on his lapel. He was the evening's program director. My son, Richard's man. You should have told me you were coming, he said, half smile, half warning. We're honoring Lily during the reception. Richard's giving her a spotlight. She's been volunteering every weekend, my granddaughter under his banner. My jaw tightened. That's so? Mark's eyes flicked to the briefcase. Please, not tonight, he whispered. He's doing real good, Dad. Let me get Lily her moment without... Whatever this is, I kept my voice even. I am just here to listen. He searched my face, then leaned closer. Richard asked me to say a few words about family legacy. He wants a photo with all of us on stage. It means a lot to Lily. Do not ruin this for her. There it was, the knife, not pointed at me, held by my own boy for another man. On stage, Richard lifted the trophy and spoke about second chances. I thought about how simple most truths are when you strip the polish off. He had stopped paying what he owed. The bank took his mortgage. I paid what they asked. No tricks, no fine print. I owned the roof above his head because I paid my bill and he did not. He basked in applause. I pictured Lily's smile when they called her name. I pictured my son standing 2 steps behind the man who had taught him to doubt me. 2 steps is how a story gets rewritten in public. Mark's hand was on my shoulder now, almost pleading. Dad, please. I looked at that hand, at his wedding band, at the soft tremor of a good man pulled by 2 loyalties. I swallowed the heat in my throat. I would not cut my family to get to my enemy. Not here. Not yet. When the program ended, I rose with the crowd. Richard worked the aisle, shaking hands, collecting praise like coins in a dish. For a heartbeat, his eyes found mine. A flicker. Then the showman's smile snapped back into place. I turned toward the exit. Are you coming to the reception? Mark called after me. I will see you there, I said. Stand close to Lily. In the mirrored hallway, I studied the old man looking back. Lined face, white hair, spine straighter than the suit allowed. I placed my palm flat on the briefcase and steadied my breath. Justice does not need a microphone. It needs timing. I walked to the elevators and pressed the button. I would let Richard shake my son's hand under the roof I owned. I would let him bless my granddaughter with borrowed light. And then, away from the champagne and cameras, I would ask him a simple question any landlord can ask. Ready to pay what you owe? My name is Henry Wilson. I am 73 years old, a grandfather to Lily, a father to Mark, and the former partner of the man who smiles on billboards like a lighthouse. I have lived long enough to know the tide always comes in. I reached the garage and sat with the engine off, hands on the briefcase. I did not need to open it to remember what was inside. 3 simple things, nothing fancy. First, the deed that says I own the building he is standing in. Second, a short letter from the bank that says he did not pay what he owed. Third, a single page in plain words from my lawyer that says what happens next if he refuses to face the truth. No flowcharts, no Latin. Pay rent, tell the truth, or leave. Mark texted, "Richard wants a family photo with Lily after the reception. Please do not make trouble." I stared at the screen until it went dark. Family on his stage, my son carrying his water, my granddaughter under his light. He was building a monument out of my people. The phone rang. Mrs. Nguyen. Her voice is calm even when storms are near. "Everything is filed," she said. "The deed recorded 2 weeks ago. We served notice this afternoon. You are the landlord. If he wants to fight, we do it on paper. But Henry, remember what we talked about. No shouting, no scenes." I smiled at the steering wheel. I am too old for shouting. Paper and quiet doors have carried me farther than a raised voice ever did. People think this is complicated. It is not. He stopped paying. I paid. Now he owes me. That is how the world keeps its shape. I did not come here to humiliate him. I came to put the story back where it belongs, so my son does not bow to a liar, and my granddaughter does not carry a stranger's name into her future. I started the car and drove home through thin rain. In the kitchen, I set the briefcase on the table and made coffee that tasted like pennies but warmed my hands. I looked at the calendar where Lily's face smiled from May. I thought about Mark's pin on his lapel. How proud he looked. How it must feel to be seen by the man who ignored me while he emptied me. A father can taste that kind of hurt for years. You learn to swallow slow. I opened the briefcase and touched the deed. The paper felt heavier than it should, not because of ink, but because of what it meant. I whispered to myself, like a promise you make when no one is listening. I am not here to break my family to fix my pride. I am here to set a boundary and then keep it. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that lets old memories creep in through the floorboards. I locked the briefcase, turned off the kitchen light, and headed for the attic to look for a box of our old company papers, thinking I might find a photograph to remind Mark where he comes from. I did not know yet that the box I reached for would hold a small cassette with my wife's handwriting on the label, and you would not believe what would happen next. But before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The attic smelled like dust and old cedar. I slid the box toward me, the one with Mary written on the lid in her tidy hand, and lifted the flaps. Letters, photographs, a check stub from a year when we still believed in luck. At the bottom, wrapped in a dish towel, sat a small cassette. Mary's writing on the label. Call, August 2nd, 1982. Mary recorded her own call that day. Her habit when nerves ran high. I still kept an old player in the garage from when Lily liked to listen to stories on tape. I wiped the dust off, clicked the cassette in, and pressed play. Mary's voice came first, soft, nervous. "Richard, is this recording?" Then his, smooth as ever. "Doesn't matter. Henry trusts me. He won't hear it." A chair creaked on the tape. Mary tried to steady herself. "You promise you'll take care of us if he signs?" "As long as he does what I say," he answered. "If he doesn't, I'll have to take drastic measures." I stopped the tape. My hands did not shake. They closed into calm fists on my knees. The truth had its own temperature, like cold water after a long walk. I did not make a copy. I did not make a speech. I put the player and cassette in my briefcase with the deed and the one-page letter from the bank. Then I drove straight to Mark's house. He opened the door with a pen behind his ear and a stack of note cards in his hand. "Dad, I'm working on my remarks for tonight," he said. Richard wants me to talk about legacy and family. We're going to bring Lily up at the end. Big moment. Elena stood behind him in a foundation t-shirt, phone buzzing with group texts about seating charts and donors. Lily came down the stairs in a dress the color of robin's eggs and twirled for us. "Mr. Caldwell said I'm a natural," she beamed. That was the moment I understood the shape of the knife. Not metal, but praise. "Give me 1 minute," I said, stepping past them into the kitchen. No arguing. Just listening. Mark sighed, set his cards down, and crossed his arms. "Dad?" "1 minute," I repeated, and set the briefcase on the table. I did not spread papers. I did not point at numbers. I took out the cassette player, pressed play, and let 20 seconds do the work. Henry trusts me. He won't hear it. If he doesn't, I'll have to take drastic measures. I stopped the tape and looked at my son. The kitchen clock ticked loud in the silence. Elena was the first to speak, voice small. "That's Mary," she whispered. "That's your mom." Mark searched my face for a trick and, finding none, stared at the player like it might bite him. "Where did you get that?" he asked. "In a box with her handwriting," I said. "From our house." "Mark, I am not asking you to hate anyone. I am asking you to see what is true." He rubbed his jaw, eyes wet and angry. "He paid for Lily's summer program," he said, as if that explained anything and everything. "He gave me this job. He said you were stuck in the past." "I live in the present," I said. "In the present, I own the building he's standing in. In the present, he either pays what he owes or leaves. In the present, you do not stand behind a man who used your mother's fear like a tool." Lily hovered at the doorway, unsure, trying to read faces. I softened my voice. "Sweetheart, you will be praised tonight. You deserve it. If I text you 1 word, leave, you go with your mother. No questions. Promise me." She looked at Mark. He nodded, torn clean down the middle. "Promise," she said. Elena took the player, pressed her thumb against Mary's name, and set it back on the table like it weighed more than it did. "What are you going to do, Henry?" she asked. "Nothing loud," I said. "Nothing cruel. I am going to ask him to make things right. If he refuses, the truth will do the talking." Mark swallowed hard. "If I stand on that stage," he asked, "what does that make me?" "Someone who did not know," I said. "But now you do." He looked at the note cards, legacy, family, stewardship, then at me. I could see the boy who used to draw cars under my desk trying to steer a different road. "I'll get Lily off that stage if you text," he said. "And after tonight, we talk." "That is enough," I said. I picked up the briefcase. At the door, Mark spoke without turning. "Dad, if this blows up, it blows up my job." "Jobs heal," I said. "Reputations heal slower." I did not know yet that the 20 seconds he heard would echo in a boardroom, a courtroom, and a living room before the week was out. Mrs. Nguyen's office smelled like lemon polish and calm. She slid 2 plain envelopes across the table. "This is all you need," she said. "Envelope 1, a polite letter asking him to meet with his board tonight and step down. Envelope 2, a notice that says pay what you owe or leave. If he refuses the first, we use the second. No speeches, no drama. Simple, clean, like sweeping a floor." "I am not hunting him," I said. "I am setting a boundary." "That is the right word," she replied. "Boundary." I signed where she pointed. No paragraphs of small print, just my name in ink. She pressed a seal that clicked like a door latching. On my way out, my phone buzzed. "Mark, Richard wants me to introduce him as a mentor and a second father. He wants Lily beside us. Please don't make a scene. Second father." I stood in the hallway and let those words pass through me like cold air. The truth of it was simple. A good story had pulled my son to the wrong side. It was my job to change the story without breaking the boy. I typed back, "Give Lily her moment. If I text leave, Go. No arguments. I love you. 3 dots blinked. Then, okay. Outside, the late sun warmed my face. I thought about how people dress up wrongs in big words to hide the small truth underneath. He stopped paying. I paid. He owes me. You do not need a degree to understand that. You need a spine. I put envelope 1 on top of the briefcase and tucked envelope 2 under it, like a spare key. I would offer him the soft door first. If he chose the hard door, that would be his decision, not mine. On the drive home, I said it out loud, so I would hear myself. I am not here to humiliate my family. I am here to protect them. Justice is not noise. It is a line you draw, then keep. I stopped by Mark's house before the reception. Elena had donor name tags spread across the dining table. Lily practiced her smile in the hallway mirror, then checked her phone for the 10th time. The house hummed with Richard's plans. He asked me to say he saved our family after your mistakes, Mark said quietly, following me to the porch. If I refuse, I lose the program director job. I looked at my son. Good man, tired eyes. Jobs return, I said. Names take longer. Do not trade yours for applause. He exhaled. What do I say? Say Lily worked hard. Say the kids at the center matter. Say nothing about him being your father. You already have one. He nodded, grateful and afraid at the same time. And if he pushes me on stage? Stand beside your daughter, I said, not behind him. We drove downtown in separate cars. The building rose out of the evening like a stage set. My building. His lights. Our family under both. That is how a trap should feel. Steady, not cruel. In the lobby, I found a quiet corner and texted Richard's assistant. Please tell Mr. Caldwell I would like 15 private minutes before he goes on. No cameras, no crowd, just 2 old partners and a table. A minute later, come to his office, now. I walked past banners that called him a builder of futures. I thought about all the hands that had built my first shop, and the one hand that had signed me out of it. The tape in my briefcase seemed to hum, a small engine that ran on memory. Richard stood when I entered. Perfect suit, perfect smile. Henry, he said, as if my name were a gift he was returning. You came back. I set envelope 1 on his desk. A private way out, I said. Meet your board tonight. Step down. Make it right. My family walks out of here with their heads up. So do you? He laughed, but his eyes cut to the envelope. And if I don't? I touched the second envelope inside my case. Then we do this the public way, I said. I am not here to shout. I am here to choose which door you want. He leaned back, weighing me like a number on a ledger. Your son is introducing me as a second father, he said softly, almost tender. It would be a shame to ruin that moment. My son has one father, I said, and my granddaughter has a spine. Do not mistake kindness for weakness. Silence. Then his smile thinned. I will think about it. You have 1 hour, I said. After that, the room gets a different story. I left him with the envelope and crossed the lobby toward the reception hall. Lily saw me and waved, bright and proud. Mark stood behind her, torn but taller than he looked this morning. I lifted my phone and typed 1 word into our family thread, then held my thumb over send and waited. I would give him that last quiet hour. After that, the truth would speak for itself. At minute 59, he called my family to the stage. Legacy, Richard said into the microphone, hand outstretched. Mark, bring Lily up. Let's show this town what family looks like. Applause rose like a tide. Mark glanced toward me from the wing. He looked like a man about to step onto thin ice. Lily stood beside him, bright and brave, waiting for her name. I took out my phone and typed 1 word into our thread. Leave. Across the room, Lily's phone lit. She looked at her father. He read the screen, closed his eyes, and nodded. Elena took Lily's hand. They stepped back, off the stairs, and turned toward the side door. Mark hesitated, torn clean down the middle, then followed them. 3 silhouettes slipping off the stage that was not theirs. Richard saw it happen. His smile held, but the corners went stiff. He covered it with a chuckle. "Busy family," he said lightly, "always serving behind the scenes." The crowd laughed, not knowing what they were looking at. I moved along the wall until I reached the aisle. As he lifted the trophy for the last photo, I handed a folded note to his assistant. 2 words, "Board, now." She read it, went pale, and hurried toward the back hall. Richard finished his speech with the usual shine, but he scanned the room for my son and granddaughter and did not find them. The tape's sentence ran through my head like a steady drum. He trusts me. He won't hear it. Tonight he would hear everything. In the lobby I found my family by the coat check. Lily's eyes were glossy, but her chin was up. "I did what you asked," she said. "I know," I said. "That was courage." Mark's voice was low. "He told me to bring you on stage if you made trouble. He said the town would see you finally forgiving." "I do not forgive lies on a microphone," I said. "I correct them at a table." Elena touched my arm. "Is this going to get ugly?" "No," I said. "It will get simple." My phone buzzed. A text from his assistant, "Boardroom in 10." He agreed. I looked at my son. "Go home with your girls," I said. "Lock the door. If anything changes, I will call." Mark swallowed and nodded. "Do what you have to do." They stepped into the night. I turned back toward the elevators, the crowd's laughter fading behind me, and pressed the button for the floor where the long table waited. The boardroom was long, polished, and cold. A woman with a clipboard sat at the end, ready to take notes. Mrs. Nguyen stood beside me, calm as a winter pond. Richard took the head chair and tried on his smile again. "Let's be quick," he said. "Good," I answered. "Simple as quick." I set 3 things on the table. First, the deed, 1 page that says I own the building. Second, the short bank letter. He stopped paying. Third, the small cassette player. "No speeches," I told the board. "He owes rent. He also owes the truth." Richard chuckled. "Henry has always been dramatic." I pressed play. Mary's voice, small and careful. "Richard, is this recording?" Richard's voice, smooth as glass. "Doesn't matter. Henry trusts me. He won't hear it." I stopped the tape. The room didn't move. 1 board member covered her mouth. Another turned his chair toward the window as if fresh air might change the words. Mrs. Nguyen slid the 2 envelopes across to Richard. "Soft door, hard door," she said. "Soft. You meet the board, step down tonight, and help make this right. Hard. He files the notice, the tape leaves this room, and the public learns who you are. Either way, Mr. Wilson is your landlord as of this afternoon." Richard stared at the envelopes like they were traps. They were not traps. They were lines. A thin man halfway down the table cleared his throat. "Richard, we need to hear the rest of that tape." "You've heard enough," Richard snapped, then softened. "Old recordings can be confusing." I pressed play again and let 10 more seconds do their work. "Mary, you promise you'll take care of us if he signs?" Richard, "As long as he does what I say. If he doesn't, I'll have to take drastic measures." I clicked the player off and folded my hands. "I won't argue with anyone in this room," I said. "I won't shout. I want 2 things tonight. 1, he pays what he owes or packs his boxes. 2, he steps aside so people who didn't lie can steer this ship." A woman at the table, gray hair, sharp eyes, looked at Richard. "We cannot carry this," she said. "Not with children's names on our letterhead." Richard's smile finally slipped. "You'll ruin me," he whispered. "No," I said. "You did that. I'm here to stop the spill from reaching my family." He looked at the envelopes again, then at the door, then at me. "If I step down tonight, will you keep this private?" "I will keep it quiet long enough to help the people who work here land on their feet," I said. "But the truth still belongs to the truth." It will come out. You can leave standing or be carried. Silence. Then paper. He opened the soft door envelope, read the simple letter, and picked up a pen. He signed his name like it hurt. Mrs. Nguyen nodded to the woman with the clipboard. "Note the time," she said. Richard slid the page back without meeting my eyes. "There." "Happy?" "No," I said, "but done." I stood, took the signed page, and reached for the cassette. My hand paused on it. "One more thing. Do not call my son again. Do not put your hand on my granddaughter's shoulder. Find your own light." He flinched just once. "Get out," he muttered. "In a minute," I said. I turned to the board. "Tomorrow you'll need to tell the truth to your staff. Use small words. Pay what you owe. Help who you've hurt. It's not complicated." Mrs. Nguyen touched my elbow. "We're finished, Henry." We stepped into the hall. The door clicked shut behind us. I texted Mark 2 words, "For tonight." He wrote back, "We're home." I exhaled and walked to the elevator, the tape warm in my pocket like a steady heart. Justice doesn't roar. Tonight it was a click, a signature, and a family choosing the right side of the room. But the story was far from over. By sunrise he was already rewriting the story. A mass email went out to donors. Richard was stepping back for health after a wonderful night of celebration. No mention of the boardroom. No mention of the pen that shook in his hand. Mark forwarded it to me with one line. "He wants me on camera at noon to praise his mentorship. He says it'll steady the ship." I called him. "No," I said. "You steady your daughter." "He says I owe him," Mark whispered. "He paid for Lily's summer program." "You owe the truth," I said. "That bill is past due." He was quiet. Then, "He's calling me again." "Do not pick up," I said. "Let the grown-ups who wear robes handle him." I met Mrs. Nguyen outside the courthouse. She had the small cassette in her bag and 2 simple requests in her folder. Freeze the charity money so it stops leaking, and recognize me as the landlord so the rent clock starts ticking. "This won't be a long show," she said. Plain words. Short answers. Across the street, Richard gave a statement into 3 microphones. "Rumors," he said, smiling. "Transition planning." The usual cameras love a steady jaw. I texted Lily. "Proud of you for leaving last night." She replied with a heart and a picture of her science project. The world still had room for good things. A man from the veterans group shook my hand on the steps. "If you win today," he said, "we have beds we can bring in next month." "Let's get the keys to fit first," I said. Inside, the hallway was quiet. The kind of quiet where big doors make small sounds. I took a breath, felt the tape warm in my pocket, and walked toward the room where a stranger in a black robe would sort truth from talk. The courtroom was bright and spare. The judge looked like someone who did not waste time. Richard sat at one table with his lawyer. I sat at the other with Mrs. Nguyen. I could feel my heart slow and steady like a metronome. "Mr. Wilson," the judge said, "tell me why you're here." "I want 2 simple things," I answered. "No more money moved out of his charity until someone honest checks the books, and recognition that I own the building he's using so he pays rent like anyone else." The judge nodded. "Do you have proof?" Mrs. Nguyen handed up 3 items: the deed, the short bank letter, and a transcript of 20 seconds from the tape. No speeches, no piles, just the spine. The judge read the deed first. "Clear," she said. She tapped the bank letter. "Also clear." She glanced at the transcript. Her eyebrow lifted at one line. Richard's lawyer tried to stretch the air with words. "Old grievances, misunderstandings, taken out of—" The judge raised a palm. "Save it. Here's what happens. 1. The charity money is frozen until an independent review is finished. No transfers, no consulting fees. 2. Mr. Wilson is the lawful owner of the property. Starting today, rent is due. If it isn't paid, you have 30 days to leave. We'll set further dates if needed. Richard's jaw worked. Your Honor, this is extreme. What's extreme, she said, is asking the public for donations and then hiding where they go. Sit down. The gavel did not bang. Her voice was enough. We stood to leave. In the aisle, Richard stepped close and kept his smile for the cameras waiting outside. You did this to humiliate me, he said under his breath. No, I said. I did this so my granddaughter can stand on a stage without owing you anything. His smile thinned. This isn't over. It is for my family, I said. For you, it's just beginning. Outside, the sun was clean and bright. Reporters swarmed him. I walked the other way toward the steps where Lily was waiting with Mark and Elena. Lily hugged me hard. What did the judge say? She asked. Plain words, I said. Pay what you owe. Stop taking what isn't yours. Mark looked at me, shame and relief mixed in his eyes. Thank you for not making a scene, he said. I made a boundary, I answered. We stood there a moment, 4 people in a small circle while the city went on. The next part would require more doors, more signatures, more quiet. But the big shove had happened. And if you think that was the end of Richard's tricks, you do not know how men like him lose. That evening Mark pulled into my driveway fast, like a man chased by a thought. He came to the house, he said, still standing by his open car door. Not alone. Elena's parents were with him. They want a healing dinner tomorrow. Richard says we're all going to reset the narrative as a family. There it was, the new knife, wrapped in napkins and prayer hands. Inside, he sat at my table and rubbed his eyes. He told my in-laws you're bitter, that you're using me and Lily to hurt him. He called you unwell. They believed him, Dad. They said he saved the youth center when the city cut funding. They adore him. He buys applause, I said. Some folks sell it cheap. Mark swallowed. He offered to pay off our mortgage if I go on camera to say this is a misunderstanding. He offered Elena a promotion. Her parents called it a blessing. Blessings that come with scripts are not blessings, I said. They're chains. He looked at me, torn and tired. Should I go to the dinner? Go, I said. But keep your hands in your pockets and your phone face down. He will try to touch your pride. He will try to touch your hope. Keep both. The next night they sent me a photo. Richard at the head of the table, Elena's parents on either side smiling like a Christmas card, Mark and Elena in the middle, stiff. The caption from my in-laws read, "Grateful to break bread and heal." Richard posted the same photo with different words. Family stands together. He had won a small victory, not in court, in the living room. Mark called later, voice flat. He said if you release stolen audio, he'll sue. He had his lawyer on speaker. Elena's dad nodded along. They want me to choose peace and distance from you online. Choose your daughter, I said, and keep your seat at the table long enough to see what he asks next. What if he turns my in-laws against me? He whispered. Then you learn who is family and who is furniture, I said. One you lean on. The other you walk around. Morning brought headlines. A friendly op-ed in the local paper, written by my son's father-in-law, called Richard a pillar and warned the town about an elderly man with old grudges. My name did not appear, but my shadow did. The phone rang all day with people who thought I needed their advice. At noon, Richard's lawyer filed a fast motion. Not big, not final, just enough teeth for a small bite. The judge signed a narrow order. Until a review is done, no public release of the cassette. Not forever. For now. A partial win for him. He walked out of the courthouse and told cameras he had nothing to hide. He left out the part where the door was only half closed. I met Mark in the park and kept my voice level. We are not gagged, I said. We are patient. We can still speak to people who matter. The board, the staff, the state. Your daughter. The nodded. Elena's parents want Lily to accept a youth ambassador role at the foundation, he said. A sash. A speech. A photo with Richard on Sunday. They say it will open doors. It opens one door, I said, and it locks another. If they put her on that stage, she becomes part of his story. Do not let them write her name in his book. He stared at the ducks on the pond like they could help. They said you'd try to stop her. I will not embarrass her, I said, but I will not let him touch my granddaughter's shoulder for a camera. If I have to stand at the back of that hall with one word on my phone, I will. He took a breath. Okay. That afternoon, the private investigator slid into a diner booth with me and set down new photos. Boxes moved into a storage unit under a secretary's name, a man in a tan suit leaving a bank with envelopes. I did not need more pictures to know the shape of the story. I needed time. I needed my family to stop letting him hold their hands. On my way out, my phone buzzed with a message from Elena's mother. "We love you, Henry," it read. "Please stop this. Richard can help Mark. Think of Lily." I put the phone in my pocket and kept walking. Help that asks you to close your eyes is not help. It is hunger dressed as charity. They called it a mediation. It was a trap with coffee. The mediator's room was beige and quiet. On one side, Richard and his lawyer. On the other, Mrs. Nguyen and me. To my surprise, my son's father-in-law took a chair behind Richard, hands folded like a deacon. Richard smiled as if we shared a joke. "Let's settle this like gentlemen," he said. "You drop your eviction and stop talking about old tapes. I retire, but I keep a title for a year to steady things. We do a photo. We say we respect each other. Peace." "That is not peace," I said. "That is paint." Elena's father leaned forward. "Henry, the town needs calm. My readers need something hopeful. Let's give them a handshake." Mrs. Nguyen slid 2 sentences across the table. "Simple terms," she said. "He pays rent starting now." He steps aside now. The charity opens its books to people who do not work for him. No handshakes required. Richard's lawyer sighed. "We're prepared to offer a donation to a veterans group in your name if you agree to a mutual silence and surrender the tape." I looked at the lawyer, then at the man behind him, then at the ceiling. "You want to buy my quiet," I said. "It is not for sale. It never was." Richard's smile thinned. "Then we do it the hard way," he said. "You can't release that recording yet. I have time. Time is expensive." "There is more than one clock in this building," I said. "Rent is due. Employees talk. Donors ask where dollars go. Mothers ask why their daughters' names are on your stage." "Time is not your friend," Elena's father spoke softer. "Henry, you could be remembered as the man who forgave." "I forgive," I said. "I do not pretend." We left with nothing signed. A partial win for him again. No public tape, no staged apology, more pages on his calendar. He wanted a year. I would not give him a week. At the elevator, Mrs. Nguyen squeezed my arm. "He is borrowing air," she said, "but he still needs lungs. We will keep the pressure simple." I nodded. "Rent and truth," I said. 2 hands, same push. I took the settlement that did not happen to a quiet place. Mary's grave. Mist hung low, like breath on glass. I cleared a few leaves and rested my palm on her stone. "I'm close," I whispered. "He's good at buying time." "I'm better at waiting without selling anything." Gravel crunched behind me. I turned. Elena's parents stood there with Richard, all 3 in Sunday clothes on a weekday. My stomach went cold, not from fear, but from the boldness. "This is not the place," I said. "It's exactly the place," Richard answered, voice soft, as if the dead could be charmed. "Mary wanted stability. I gave her that. Let's honor her by ending this fight." Elena's mother lifted her phone, not quite recording, not quite not. "We just want peace, Henry," she said. "Please say you'll stop." Richard stepped closer, hands open. "If you sign a statement today, I'll announce a scholarship in Mary's name. Lily can be the first youth ambassador. We can make this town proud of your family again." There it was, the plot in daylight. A fake olive branch and my granddaughter's name tied to it with a bow. I kept my voice low. Do not use her name like a ribbon on your box. Elena's father set his jaw. If you refuse, I'll write that you're unstable. People believe me, Henry. People believe the rent due line on a bill, I said. They believe a door that won't open because the key no longer fits. Richard's smile did not move. You can't release the tape for now. You have no stage. I do. You have a microphone, I said. That is different. He leaned in, just enough for his cologne to reach. Say yes, Henry. Say it here. Say it for Mary. I looked at the stone. I thought of Mark's boyhood drawings under my desk. I thought of Lily's chin when she held it high. I thought of the way men like Richard count on rooms without witnesses. Here is what I will say, I answered. I will not put my name next to a lie. I will not put my granddaughter on your stage. I will not take your money to be quiet. You can call me whatever word you need to sell your paper. But when the doors change and the checks bounce and the lights do not come on for your next event, folks will understand small things first. Small things convince. He chuckled, but his eyes glanced just once toward the hill where the town's power station sat. Fear knows directions. Elena's mother finally hit record. So you admit this is about revenge, she said. It is about balance, I said. He took. I put back. That is all they left in a line, like mourners with the wrong name on their lips. When the gravel went quiet again, my phone buzzed. A text from the investigator. You'll want to see this. Not the tape. Emails. His own words. And a bank camera. I stared at the message, the mist beating on my coat. The gag had one door closed. This was another door open. He had the microphone. I had the keys. And these keys were the most important thing. Sunday, day 30. Lily's youth ambassador event filled the lobby with balloons and borrowed joy. Elena's parents floated from donor to donor, whispering about healing. Richard stood by the stage in a blue suit the color of trust. At 9 a.m., the sheriff's office taped a red notice to the glass doors. Rent due. Tenant in default. 30 days had passed. No payment. No extensions. The paper did not shout. It didn't have to. He tried to cover it with a banner. Inside, he lifted a sash for Lily. Our youngest leader, he said, palm out. My granddaughter looked at the sash, then at me across the room. I did not move. I just held up my phone and typed one word into our thread. Leave. Her phone buzzed. She swallowed, handed the sash back, and stepped away from the stage. Mark's hand found hers. Elena hesitated, caught between her parents' smiles and her daughter's spine, then moved with them. 3 people choosing the right side of the room. Richard kept the microphone. Technical delay, he joked. Laughter, thinner this time. I walked to the edge of the crowd and spoke to a reporter I knew from the library's donor nights. Check your email, I said. Now. He tapped his screen. His eyebrows rose. Plain things convince. A camera still of Richard's man leaving a bank with envelopes, time-stamped an hour after foundation transfers. An email from a private account. Keep under $3,000 each. Same routing, same schedule. No flags. He looked from the phone to Richard, then back to the phone again. 2 more reporters looked down at their screens and stopped pretending to smile. Across the lobby, the state investigator I'd texted earlier stepped in through the side door, quiet as a shadow, papers in hand. Not a raid. No handcuffs. Just a request for records with a seal at the bottom and a deadline in the middle. Elena's mother beelined to me, voice bright as glass. He's trying to help this town, she hissed. You are trying to tear it down. I'm trying to make it honest, I said. The building is closed until he pays. That is the law. The rest is his choice. Behind her, donors were reading phones, handing them to each other, whispering the same small sentence. Keep under $3,000. Richard started the music anyway. The lights flickered, then steadied. He raised the sash again, hunting for Lily. She was gone. The red notice on the glass caught the light like a stop sign. He saw me watch him. He mouthed, "This isn't over." It already was. For the room. The youth program director unplugged the soundboard with shaking hands. A janitor began stacking chairs. The investigator's papers disappeared into a back office with a trembling assistant. I stepped outside into the clean air and called the veterans director. "Key's coming soon," I said. "Get your beds ready." He paid nothing. He argued everything. He posted photos of sunshine and called it clarity. But the rent clock does not read press releases. On Friday, 2 movers rolled boxes through the lobby while a handful of employees watched with tight faces and crossed arms. The red notice fluttered on the glass like a heartbeat. A man from facilities handed me a ring of keys. The metal was warm from his palm. Richard came down with the last box, a framed photo of him beside a governor tucked in on top. His tie was perfect. His eyes were not. "You killed a good thing," he said. "No," I answered. "I planted a better one." He looked at the ring in my hand. "You can't run a company." "I do not plan to," I said. "The employees will. The charity will open its books. The building will house people who sleep on floors while men with microphones talk about hope." He tried one more angle. "Your in-laws are writing about you. They say you're vengeful. They say you cost the town donations." "They can write," I said. "The sheriff can post. The bank can camera. And a child can step off a stage and still stand tall. We all do what we do." Mark appeared behind me carrying a box labeled personal. Elena was with him. She did not look at her parents' texts coming in like hail. Lily held the door. Richard set his box down and leaned close. "You kept your word," he said. "No shouting." Just paper," I said. "And a door that shuts when the bill is not paid." He picked up his box and walked past the red notice without touching it. Outside, cameras waited. He put the smile back on like armor. That afternoon, we signed a short document with the veterans group in Mrs. Nguyen's office. Not a speech, not a gala. 1 page, 2 signatures, and a set of keys changing hands. The director cried, just a little. "We can have people sleeping in real beds by next week," she said. "Make sure the coffee is strong," I told her. "Men sleep lighter when they're finally safe." Weeks turned. The state filed charges in words even an old man could read. Donors asked for their money back. My in-laws wrote another column calling me stubborn. Maybe I am. Homefront House opened its doors on a clear morning. No chandeliers, no speeches, just fresh paint, clean beds, and a list on the wall that read, "Meals, showers, classes, jobs." Mark hung a bulletin board in the lobby. Lily put up flyers for tutoring. Elena brought a tray of muffins she did not buy with anyone else's praise. We walked through the old corner office together. The desk was gone. In its place stood a long table covered with art supplies for kids who needed someplace soft to land after school. Sun warmed the floor. It felt like the room could breathe. On my way out, I passed a donated trophy case by the stairs. Richard's Humanitarian of the Year sat on the bottom shelf, left by a board member who no longer wanted it at home. It gleamed the same as the night I saw it. Shine does not know it is hollow. I didn't take it. In the garden that evening, I planted tomatoes while the sprinklers clicked. The phone buzzed. A reporter wanted a quote. I sent back 6 words. Pay what you owe. Tell the truth. I made 2 cups of coffee and set one where Mary used to sit. Steam rose and vanished. People ask if I feel triumphant. I feel steady. The building has new locks. The charity has new books. My son has his own voice. My granddaughter has her own light. My in-laws may never clap for me. That is all right. They are not my audience. I wiped my hands and closed the gate. Across town, a child would sleep in a bed tonight in a room that used to hold lies. He kept his trophy. I kept the keys. Do you believe I did everything correct? Were all of my actions justifiable? Please share your thoughts in the comment section.
My grandpa's words really happened. I believe him. If you want more true tales stories like this, hit subscribe.